All right, fellow babies, we're back on SIFTD.net for Pachter Factor. Thanks for joining us. Hope you're watching it real time and paying SIFTD.net $30 a year. That rate is going up at the end of May, so get in before the end of May if you're interested. And they'll sift all your information for you. They will get you relevant news feeds on top of some pack loving. If you don't want to join SIFTD, we understand. I don't get paid, so I totally understand. But we'll be on YouTube a week later. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you're watching it a week late. If you're watching it on SIFTD, you're watching it real time. That's pretty cool. Anyway, let's get to the questions. This week, our first question from Twitter, from @SuperRamses. How will the launch of PlayStation Neo affect PlayStation VR if they launch at the same time? I'm pretty sure they will launch at the same time. And I'm pretty sure that you're going to see a bundle with the PlayStation Neo. So my guess is that they will brand the PlayStation Neo, it won't be called Neo, as optimized for PlayStation VR. Remember that PlayStation VR codename was Morpheus, so Neo and Morpheus, Matrix, yeah. They probably will have some kind of a bundle that, and I don't know if the PlayStation Neo is going to have VR in it. I mean, it might actually have the term, PlayStation VR, and everybody who gets a headset, it'll say something like PlayStation Plus VR or whatever. But I think that's how they're going to try to brand it. And clearly, if it runs at a faster CPU and a faster frame rate and higher, more graphically intense, it's better for VR. So my guess is it will really sell well. I think you're going to get, probably 5 million PlayStation VR sets sold. And I think you'll probably get a couple of million of those with this bundle if they do bundle them together. So I think it'll sell very, very well. Again, Sony's running the risk of confusing consumers. So if the current gen PlayStation 4 is discontinued and the PlayStation Neo is the new PlayStation 4, then it'll sell very, very well because that'll be the de facto PlayStation. Question is just, do they launch it at $349, $299, $249, or a higher price? If it's got better graphics, it's probably more expensive. The truth is, it's probably not much more than $50 more expensive. So I could see a bundle where the PS4 Neo is bundled with the VR at the same PS4 old price. I mean, where it's effectively, they give you a $50 discount to buy PlayStation VR. We'll see. We don't know for sure, what their plans are for the PlayStation 4 when they launch this Neo. So if they discontinue the PS4, I would bet the Neo comes in at the same price. If they don't discontinue PS4, then they're definitely going to have a different price and probably at least $100 differential, which suggests to me $50 more for Neo, $50 less for the PlayStation 4, but we will see. I don't even know what they charge for PS4 anymore because there's so many discounts and bundles and stuff, but $349 effectively, but I could see the PS4 going to $299 and the Neo being $399, and then a year later $349, and then a year later get rid of the PS4 and everything is $299. We'll see. Something like that, but I think it sells very well. From SIFTD, from BACBI, B-A-C-B-I, BACBI, B-A-C-B-I, BACBI, BACBI, back. I don't know what that means, but okay. Do you think traditional E3 press conferences will be a thing of the past in a few years due to a lack of ROI? Wow, lots of assumptions there. No, I don't. I think E3 is a really great opportunity for anybody in the games business to get the media all together in one place at one time. You could argue about GDC, but GDC doesn't tend to attract mainstream media. It tends to attract specialist media. So you don't get, like CNN covering GDC or CNBC covering GDC or ABC News. They do show up to E3. That's like the one thing a year. E3 is the game business's version of Consumer Electronics Show. They just don't have consumers there. Actually, technically, Consumer Electronics Show doesn't either. So no, I think the press conferences are important. I think it's a focus. It's not like we're not having press conferences this year. EA is having one, and Ubisoft's having one, and Microsoft and Sony are having them. Nintendo's the one who's kind of backed out over the last couple of years. The first couple because Iwata was ill and then was dying. I mean, so those are legitimate reasons for him not to be here and them to have kind of a muted presence. I think this year, because they have nothing to say. I mean, it's too bad because, again, all you 100 million haters out there, 12 million of whom have a right to hate me because you bought a Wii U, the other 88, go screw yourselves. You guys still think Nintendo's the greatest company on the planet, and yet they don't have enough to show us to even have an E3 press conference. Ubisoft has more to show us than Nintendo. That's pretty sad. So I think they go away if the guys who hold the press conferences, host press conferences, have nothing to say. And that's the case with Nintendo. I don't think they go away because of lack of ROI, because the actual press conference itself probably costs, $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, and you get tons and tons and tons of free advertising because every media organization on the planet covers it and writes something about it. So no, I mean, if you go look at the cost of a minute of advertising on ABC News, it's probably $100,000, maybe more. And so if you get a minute of coverage on ABC News, getting $100,000 just on one channel, multiply that times the 100 channels that broadcast, that, or the 100 news outlets, and you're talking about $10 million of value for something that, it would surprise me for press conference cost $1 million. I mean, they just don't. Sony, yes, Sony's press conference costs more, but Sony's, trying to brand their merchandise, their hardware and their software. And there's more at stake with Sony. They're integrating, film content, so they have things that are available on PS Plus that others can't get, where they're trying to get you to join, sign up for PS Plus. So you get TV, you get some movie content. The PlayStation is a movie tuner. You can go and download movies or VOD movies. But yeah, you get a lot more bang for your buck. Microsoft, mega company, trying to make sure that Windows stays relevant forever, so they'll talk about Windows games, Windows 10 gaming. That is worth having a press conference. As long as people buy PCs and need Windows, good for Microsoft. So no, those things aren't going away, I don't think. Our next question this week comes from SIFTD from Wampler13. Mr. Wampler says, in your time as an analyst, what one action or product release is responsible for the biggest change in your opinion or forecast for a company? If you want to look at game companies, probably Turok being a complete disaster caused me to really change my opinion about Acclaim, and I questioned their financial health. That was 03. More recently, I think what was it called? When THQ kind of hung their hat on UDraw for Xbox and PlayStation. They launched UDraw for the Wii, and it did really, really well. And the next year, they announced that their big launch that year was going to be UDraw on the Xbox 360 and PS3. And I downgraded THQ. I dropped my numbers by a couple $100 million on a company that makes about $1 billion, or made about $1 billion. So I was the lowest on the street, and I said the thing was going to be a complete disaster, and it was, and it drove THQ into bankruptcy. That was the straw that broke the camel's back. The camel was already carrying a bunch of other straws, a bunch of other crappy things. But that one product release, it was clear to me if they thought that was going to be a big success, that they had big, big problems. I could probably come up with one of these, Gun for Activision. Every company's had a massive flop. I mean, a disaster. Godfather for EA, remember that turd? I can keep coming up with them. The Wii Vitality Sensor.
That never came out.
No, it never came out, but I remember, I got in trouble, but I remember saying that, that if you shouldn't attach it to your finger, you should attach it to another part of your body to figure out if you were vital. I mean, I thought that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And of course, you 100 million Nintendo fanboys who love to trash me jumped all over my case because if Nintendo said it was good, damn it. That was theirs. Wii Music was terrible. I actually forgot about Wii Music, yeah. whatever happened? That was funny. Nobody even played it. So I could come up with one of these for every single company. I mean, what else? God, every single one of these guys has had a turd. We have a question from Twitter from @Volkman. Is it realistic to expect people to buy new consoles and phones every couple of years? We as consumers are like, Apple's ripping us off. They're giving us a phone that looks identical. All the stuff that it does is software. Why don't they just give me the frickin' software? But no, they want to sell me a new phone. So you're starting to get to that point. And the other thing about phones that would drive a new purchase are battery life, right? Well, we all figured out you can take this to the Apple store, $100, new battery. You can take it to an aftermarket place who also will do it. But the Apple store will open it up, put a new battery in, and it doesn't kill your warranty or whatever. They're going to come out the iPhone 7. They're going to try to hook me. They're going to get me all excited, and I'm going to resist. And you know why? Because I bought my phone. That was a conscious decision. Pay more and keep it longer. But the point is, I have the flexibility because I paid for it, which you do when you buy a console. You buy it. You don't lease it. If you lease your phone, if you pay your carrier, God knows what they actually charge, somewhere between $20 and $30 a month more for your plan. The iPhone for Life plan is $32 a month, and you get one every year. So 32 times 12 is, good round numbers, $380 a year, $390 a year. And you get a new phone every year, but you have to trade in your old one. Your old one's worth at least a couple $100. You're paying $500 a year. I realize a phone's worth $650, but you're paying $500 a year. Trade in the $200 and then another $390. So $390 a year. That's not a great deal. I'm paying $850. Guess what? I'm going to go 3 or 4 years, and in the meantime, I'm not paying the extra. So the answer is no. You really can't realistically expect people to buy a new phone every 2 years. And that's why Apple had a problem this most recent earnings. Their iPhone sales are down because I think more people like me are getting onto them and not upgrading quite as frequently. Unless you see massive innovation in the phone itself, and I think we're getting to the limit, then no. My phone, I think, has a 12 megapixel camera. Oh my God. My camera has a 12 megapixel lens. My Canon camera that I paid something like $800 for has a 12 meg. This is a lot. This is really pretty high def. So as far as consoles, same thing. No. When you saw Microsoft and Sony last cycle upgrading the PS3 and the Xbox 360 every year at least, every 9 months, there were almost always just better components, so cheaper to make. And they would up the hard drive because when the Xbox 360 first came out, I think it had a 60 gigabyte hard drive or something. By the time the last Xbox 360 was made, it had a 500 gigabyte hard drive. I guarantee that the component cost for a 500 gigabyte hard drive in 2012 or 11, whenever that came out, was less than the price for a 60 gigabyte hard drive in 2006 or 05. Guarantee it. So as component costs come down, they can afford to upgrade the console. What's getting really interesting now is that the CPU-GPU combo is getting cheaper. So as those prices come down, they can afford, the console makers, to put them into a console. But no, I don't think people buy a console any more frequently than every 5 or 6 years. Phones, I think, are going to morph into every 5 or 6 years. So I think your question is a great one. It's not realistic. And so as you are an investor and you start thinking about businesses, I would not look to invest in businesses that require an investment every 2 years. Thanks, fellow babies, for joining us on Pachter Factor on SIFTD.net. If you're watching this on SIFTD, you're seeing it real time. You're getting it earlier than anybody else. You're paying for the privilege, but it's a mere $30 a year through May. Price is going up after May, so please sign up and at least lock in a year. And you also get all of your interesting content, game-related or otherwise, sifted for you. The algorithm will pick what is interesting to you based on your preferences. You can tweak it, you can edit it. It gives you a lot of value for $2.50 a month going up after May. If you're watching on YouTube, that's okay. I insist, since I don't get paid, that this is available free to my, to both of my fans who watch on YouTube. So thank you for joining us. And if you have questions for Pachter Factor, please submit them on the SIFTD site if you're a SIFTD member. If you're not a SIFTD member, please submit them on Twitter @MichaelPachter, copy @SIFTD Games, and we will get to as many as we can. Thanks again for joining us. See you next week.